Okay, well, we actually have quite a bit to cover today. So let's get started. Rao, are you ready to do the tech update?
Yes, give me 1 second. I'm going to share the link on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, there's the link to today's update. Let me share my screen now. All right, welcome to Community Update 207. The network status by and large remains the same. Like Greg said, we do have a few interesting things. I think we have a demo by Tomislav on how to easily configure our node and its components using a console-based tool. And we have demo from FIQUS, one of our development partners. They were doing a test task to complete the RChat work that we started. Martin is going to be making a presentation about that. So, and I don't know, does RChain Publishing folks, are you planning on doing any demos today?
Yeah, I need about 15 minutes tops.
Okay, so that's another demo. So there's quite a lot going on today. All right, so LLVM, we're making good progress on LLVM. I think as of now, there was a review of the edge cases and the basic simple protocol, and all the questions seem to be clarified now. NotZipper and Tomislav are working, are moving forward with the implementation on that. Tomislav is working on the finalization fringe calculations and how to move it forward. NotZipper is looking at that in combination with the block merge. In addition, Tomislav has been guiding Dennis and Stas on their tasks. Like I said, he spent a little bit of time on getting this tool for console-based configuration of our node and the components that might need to integrate with that. So that's very helpful, especially in corporate or enterprise environments where you would have to integrate with a bunch of other data sources, or on the output side, you need to send the data from blockchain to other systems. So he's going to show that to us. In addition, he's been working in supporting the enterprise sales engineering efforts, if you would. And the demo that Martin is going to do today, even though it's just a federation of one Zulip server. I mean, basically, if you think about it, currently the way the Zulip or any chat works is that you need to be on the same server to be able to communicate with a particular community. What Martin is going to demonstrate today is that you don't have to do it that way. Two different Zulip servers can communicate between themselves, whereby, so in that sense, they are either federated or decentralized. But to really take that pattern, it's more broadly applicable. In the first instance, it doesn't have to be two Zulip servers, right? It could be Zulip server talking to a Discord server on the other end or something like that. But even more broadly, it could be just any two different systems. So you could be using your Zulip chat server to send messages to your DevOps server that then does something. So the scope of what he's demonstrating today needs to be understood in that sense of coordination among any system to any system is the broader or bigger picture to think about. And it also is a pattern that shows us how you can decentralize existing either mobile apps, games, or any Web2 application. So that's the overall context for that demo. Dennis has completed storage measurements for the new tree. If you recall last debrief, I was saying that we were looking into why there is extra storage being required. And he has demonstrated that this is not from the code. Seems like there is something on the LMDB side where they're allocating more stuff, so that more storage. So we're going to be looking into that, but actually his code is reducing storage by half is the data that we have. Once he's fully done with this task, he'll probably demonstrate both the storage and the performance data, but we'll schedule that when that's ready. Stas has been working on, he was doing two things. One was he made it a configurable thing to include or not include refund and pre-charge as part of the flow for deploys. That's one thing. But the second one is he was doing a learning task that Tomislav kind of created for him to take some Haskell patterns and try to convert them into Scala. This is both for Scala learning as well as to demonstrate how we can use higher level coding patterns inside our code. So Stas has done that, and he demonstrated to the team. He's completed the whole thing, but he demonstrated only half of that to the team today. And we will basically socialize that within the development team. And then the development team is going to take those patterns and implement them in the actual code over the next few weeks. And at some point, either at that time or before then, we will also socialize the developers from the community to these patterns so that everybody can benefit from that education. So, but first thing is for the whole team to.
If I could interrupt for just a second.
Mm-hmm.
The work that RChain Academy is doing on tutorials could greatly benefit from that work. I don't know what things, but an RChain Academy tutorial concerning these things would be amazing, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let's talk about that after. Let's give Marcus a chance to go ahead and demo, and then we can talk about some of the implications on the other side of that.
Yeah. So anyways, that's that task. And Will and Gurinder have been working on getting RevDefine to work with testnet as a way to basically make RevDefine more modular, whereby it can work with any network. So it's a step towards that. And the idea, for example, is that any enterprise implementation or anybody that's running their own shard will need their own block explorer. So we want to make sure that the block explorer we do have currently is more modular so that it can work with anything on the back end. So that's one task that's going on. And then Gurinder has also been supporting infrastructure setup for an external customer. So that's what's going on. This last point is something that I made before, but I just wanted to emphasize. Anybody that's making wallets, you need to be aware that we're going to be releasing over the next few weeks. I mean, we'll be releasing the version where the minimum flow price is a parameter. So if your wallet doesn't already take care of that, you need to make changes to do that. And we had a conversation with Raphael, so he's familiar with that. He understood what he needs to do. So if you are using any wallets, and if those folks, the makers of those wallets, are not watching the debriefs or being engaged on Discord, please do communicate to them what they need to do. And we'll put this in the wallets channel also so that everybody knows. So that's all I have in terms of the tech update. Before I turn it over for demos, any questions or comments on this? All right, should we go to Tomislav then as the first demo? Tomislav, are you ready?
Martin should be first.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay, sounds good. So, Martin, are you ready?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Oh, okay. Hello to everyone. I'm Martin from FIQUS. It's a cooperative software development from Argentina. I've been working, as Ross said, in a feature for the chat in order to replicate communications between anything that is connected to the chain. So I'll first show kind of a white box demo, and then the black box. No, sorry, black box and then white box. As you can see, I have two instances of the Zulip chat. This is, I would say, the main, and this is the second one. So I'll just send a message. Just send the message. I have something running here. The chain replica is the one that upload the message to the blockchain. It doesn't really matter now how to understand how it does it, but the important part is that it will do it. We need to wait success. So suppose that you set up a new instance and you run this script that I made in order to get the messages, the new messages, right? Or the one that are on chain. They have, you see that it added 1, 1, 1 of 4, but it's not 4. I also connected to a Tomislav instance of Zulip. So now you'll see here that the messages are here, or well, the message I sent, right, is here, and Tomislav also should have that. We can check that. If you don't mind, I will show some developer things, I would say. This is the database. This one is from the first instance. Then I have the second instance, as you can see, Postgres 2. And finally, the one from Tomislav. So there's a new message here in the first one. In the second one, and finally in the one from Tomislav. The same message is replicated in every instance connected to the chain. And if you, Tomislav, have also your instance, or it doesn't really matter that?
Yeah, I can show you later. But yeah, I see the message.
Okay, nice. I trust you. So yeah, if I can show you the other part of this, the script just get the, using Rholang, we get the tables, the keys, and all of that, and the records, of course, and all of that is parsed in order to replicate those messages. Actually, are not only the messages, because as we can see, also the record in the user message table. The message has a bit more information related, as we can see here in the diagram. Oh, I'm better to do it here. So the message, what we are copying now is the message and the user message, but there are a lot of other tables and information that should be copied. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, I would say, in order to replicate information properly. So this is actually, Tomislav also updated this raw part to JSON in order to parse all the information. So this code should be 3 lines, I would say. to parse the data, get it from the chain. So basically, that's what the script does. I don't know if you have any question or I went too quick and you need to clarify anything. I take that silence as everything is cool, right?
Yeah, no, it's very, very nice. Very, I think fairly clear to the audience here, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, this is super exciting. We really appreciate it. I do have one question. So actual work days as opposed to communication and coordination days, actual work days, how long did it take you to do this?
Code?
Yeah.
4 days, and I've never code in Rholang, to be honest.
Yes, that's what I like to hear.
It wasn't really, well, I work in the IT industry, so I've been working in this industry for 15 years, I guess. So if you're a senior developer, it shouldn't take too long to understand how to do this. And if you're a blockchain developer, oh, easier. Because I think that the worst part of this is the learning curve of understanding the decentralized processing and that every node can do almost everything.
Yeah.
So it's a different paradigm, but it's not that hard.
And that's what I like to hear. We were recently talking with some folks who felt that the adoption curve was going to be very steep, and we love to see the data points like this which prove that wrong.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not a parameter, but it's what
I'm going to follow up on what Greg said and agree heartily. I do have a question. If you could scroll up a little bit, please, in your display. So the question that I have is there any thought of retrieving the Rholang code that you have there from the chain?
From the chain?
Yes, so that this Rholang code that you have embedded in the JavaScript, that this Rholang code would be retrievable from the chain.
What's the idea behind that?
Well,
yeah. I mean, why not? This can be like a template, right?
It can.
Which, yeah.
Yes.
right.
Go ahead.
So has there been any thought in that direction, or is this necessarily a hard-coded embedded Rholang in the JavaScript?
Yeah, this is definitely idea that depends on the application, right? But yes, for sure.
Yeah, sorry.
Because this is just a basic retrieval of something that is in the registry, right? So most of the code is already in the registry.
Sure. Okay, it was just a question that I had.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you taking the time to demo, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more work with our sister co-op FIQUS. This is awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much to answer our email and of course having some chats and calls and giving us the opportunity to work together.
Great. Looking forward to doing more. So Tomislav, you have a demo.
Yes, I can share my screen, and I can also add that we get some useful information from Martin related what we are missing, right? Because some of the documentation is it's not enough to developers to easily understand how, for example, exploratory deploy works and how to get the data. And this was one of the things that I was communicating with Martin, and now understand better what we are missing. So let me first start from Zulip instance that I have on my machine, and I can show you that I also see the message here. So, okay. So what I want to show is like a continuation of what we've seen with RChat. So how we are pushing messages to the chain. In RChat, or in RChat example, this is done directly. We are listening in Node.js. We are listening for Postgres to receive the changes, and this console application creates a deploy and push to the chain. In a more in some like a production environment, we want to have some kind of queue in between. So I created this simple example which uses RabbitMQ as something that stands between the data and the chain. And instead of controlling this with commands in the console, this functionality is exposed via HTTP API. And I'm using this one library, which is very nice because already provides some debug environment and very easily definable HTTP endpoints. I only placed some basic information in hidden file how to start, so you can play it, but play with it, but there is no like very deep description of everything. But whoever wants to fill it, I think it should be enough. So let me first start the server, which also provides some additional information, what controllers are started and what APIs are available. So with that, I can open this API inspector page. This is provided by this DeepKit framework. I have three controllers specifically for Arnold and RabbitMQ, but the main is this hider controller, and I'm calling this hydration as something that is importing data to the chain. And so what I want to show is these two main methods. The first is initialization, because first we need to set up RabbitMQ, listen for the messages, and set up the producer to accept our messages via API. So I just want to show that this way of thinking can be very nice for any developers to, without knowing any deeper understanding how to set up RChain network, he can use the HTTP API, which is much easier. So now that this is started, I will try to initialize again. Okay, I get the ready command, ready response. So now I also want to show the logs from RabbitMQ and Arnold. So now when I send some message, and this is just a very simple Rholang that it will only accept whatever data I have sent to response the same data back. But this is not what I want to show. I want to show that I can send multiple messages, and this will be packaged up. RabbitMQ will receive it, and it will not block the sender. And when block is created, in the time when block creation is in progress, we can still send more messages that will be packaged up in the next block. So I will just push some of the data to the RabbitMQ. So now we are seeing that the block is starting to be created. I will push a little more messages, and even more. And I have a very simple code that will just see if new messages are still waiting, and it will create another block. And when all messages are processed from the RabbitMQ, it will stop. And this is it. We can see here in the log, queue is processed all the messages. And this is all that I want to show. If you have any questions.
This is really cool. Thank you. How long did it take you to put this together?
Oh, this is in 2 days, so like 10 hours. And definitely this DeepKit framework helped me a lot. I mean, there is some learning curve to understand it, but of course, this is exactly why I was choosing this framework, because I want to modify the RChat so that it's also much easier to use.
Understood. Understood. This is cool. Now, I think we talked about how in the long run, so this is a quick and dirty integration with Rabbit, but in the long run, it would be nice to have a deeper integration with Rabbit so that the so you could have a Rabbit queue behind a channel, and so then you can do a for comprehension syntax to get data directly from the channel, and you can do an output syntax to put directly data on the channel from Rholang. Yeah, which I think would be lovely. And in fact, we would like to do that for all of the different, transport mechanisms, right? SMTP, etc.
And I'm planning to show something very similar, because I already have this demo for HTTP, and instead of connecting directly to RabbitMQ, specifically for RabbitMQ, I'm thinking to show example where from Rholang we can directly connect to this standard output and standard input, which can enable us to connect to whatever we want, to RabbitMQ via some additional code. But it will be very nice to show as a demo.
Yeah. This is awesome. Unfortunately, we have so much material to get through today. We have to move on to the next thing, but this is really quite exciting and goes towards what we've been saying, which is that in order to make this kind of experience of high availability, high responsiveness at the edges of RChain, something like Rabbit is a perfect perfect buffer, right? So you can have external applications, enterprise applications, which are talking to Rabbit in order to get stuff into chain, and they could just dump, bulk dump into Rabbit, and then Rabbit says, "Yep, got it all," and then puts it on chain at its leisure. So, which is standard enterprise design pattern. Thank you very much. This is great. Steve, Ross Talbot, I understand you have a demo as well.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a few slides, and then I'm going to just kick off a little demo, and I'm going to share a link in the chat afterwards, which is the link to the demo movie. There will be additional movies that we release in due course. So I'm just going to share my screen now. So I wanted to really sort of come to this briefing, really just to give everybody in the community an idea of what on earth has this RChain Publishing thing been doing. So we've been busy. I'm busy helping execute the investment strategy, in partnering obviously to secure the future of the co-op, by building out some capabilities on top of RChain that are within the scope of what's called RChain Publishing. There's a little message there: our data, our life, our future out on chain, and it's because we can store things on chain. And this is part of a pitch deck that we've been using to talk to investors. And the problem that we're seeking to solve ultimately is self-sovereign data, of which NFTs are simply a subset of what we might consider to be self-sovereign data. And we're focusing on the self-sovereign data and the NFTs will just come along as part and parcel of that. So the current problem with NFT platforms and with decentralized storage is that certainly with NFT platforms, they're burning up the planet because they're all based on Ethereum, and they're not actually storing the asset on chain. So there's a famous example of an album that somebody purchased for $11 million through Nifty Gateway, I think it was, and oh dear, somebody deleted the actual asset. So it was an $11 million smart contract pointing to 404. That's a very expensive 404. So we're using that capability in RChain to address those sorts of issues. So the solution that we're providing is to store and potentially search large files on chain with a very affordable transaction fee and storage cost mechanism that's environmentally sustainable. And this seems to be gelling quite well with people that we talk to. We have a number, I won't mention names, but we have a number of creative artists who will be helping us shape that journey so that the software that we create, the dApp that we create, will have had their input. And we're talking with a couple of what I can only call marketplaces, so places where NFTs will be bought and sold. And part of the RChain Publishing solution is not just to have a dApp that helps me as a self-sovereign individual manage my data, mint NFTs, but also enable me or anyone else or any organization to create their own marketplace and kind of white label it using the technology that we're building. So that's all I'm going to say in terms of the slides at this point. So I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare so that I can bring the tiny demo up. So I'm just going to do the demo. And this was taken from a Zoom session. Now, the demo, before I kick it off, the demo doesn't have the back end. So Theo, who's on the call, did this. The demo doesn't have a back end. This one doesn't. But we have demonstrated previously our capability of being able to store a digital asset on chain. This is more to do with making it look more sexy, making it look like a real thing. And then when this user interface gets connected up to what we've already got on the back end, then it will kind of work like this. So you're getting a kind of preview of what we're building. And I'll leave Bill to say at the end if anyone has questions about as to when that might be. Okay, so here's the demo. It's 4 minutes and then I'm done. Welcome to this short demo of what we're doing in RChain Publishing. We have a vision for ubiquitous use of the RChain blockchain through a concept we call an RDrive. We can think of it as a Google Drive or an IPFS on steroids. It combines all of the things we would want for self-sovereignty of our data into a files and folder format with an integrated sponsored content framework to offset the cost of running it. Here we have John Smith, who's opened his RDrive on his smartphone. He has data about who he is, about important documents he wants to keep super safe, media files from photos to music to film. And he has the opportunity to participate in the data market, to sell his data, whatever he chooses, as NFTs. John Smith's identity information, the information John has stored about himself, includes his name, his date of birth, and may include additional information. He has an address on chain that represents his identity. It's also shown under the name in the top right corner of the application. And beneath there's a QR code that might be used to gain him access to flights, hotels or healthcare, as it represents his validated and authenticated identity. He has capabilities that enable him to do specific things and interact with other people's data and other dApps. He has wallets. In this case, there's two, one for his RChain Rev and one for his RPC Rev. He may, of course, have other wallets that may be on chain or maybe on other blockchains. He can put all of that information right here on his RDrive, ensuring its safety and security. If we go back, we can see the folder in a different view. The previous one was more like a list, and this is more like a grid. Navigating forward into John Smith's documents, we can see he has a folder called My Legal Documents. There might be many folders with different names. The names become important as we shall explain. John has one NDA document he wanted to keep safe. He can download or view it whenever he wishes, and he can share it with people he needs to whenever that need arises. The document can be attested for its validity through the use of digital signatures, combining John's and some attester's signature. The advert comes from a sponsored content platform. RChain is working on Dazzle, and we intend to use Dazzle in RPC in the future. The sponsored content is displayed based on the folder names. No data about John, other than the folder name, is used to select appropriate content, unless John chooses to give that additional data to the sponsored content framework. And John can turn it off by taking out a subscription to his RDrive rather than using the free version whenever he chooses to do so. Let's go back and have a look at what other things John can do. Let's have a look at his NFTs. John has a few NFTs that he's minted, and some he's purchased, and some he has offered for sale. It's a seamless task to take a digital asset in his RDrive and turn it into an NFT. He can do it on the same smartphone, he can do it on his laptop, whatever's easiest for John. The NFTs are shown with their price, and there's an option to look at the contractual terms, which are of course in a smart contract that wraps them in English. John hasn't purchased any of NFTs at this stage, but if he did want to have a look at them, he has a shortcut in order to go to the marketplace and have a look at what's on offer. Opening the marketplace shows up what he has listed for sale and gives him a range of other interesting things to buy. So that's kind of what we're working on. It's getting close. Apologies, it's not really refined, the video, but it was just put together and taken from a Zoom call that where we were exploring the ideas. I just thought, well, I'll record that and see what I can do with it. We'll almost certainly release another one. And obviously, as and when this thing starts to be runnable properly on our own testnet, then we'd really love members in the community to road test it and kick the tires and maybe come up with some improvements. So do contact us as and when you're interested, but we will let the community know when it's available, and we'd love to have people collaborate. Now, one of the interesting additional things that I just wanted to let you know is the concept of an RDrive is much wider than we've shown. So we have the concept within what we're building to be able to support additional file formats with their smart contracts. So those smart contracts give that file its behavior, whatever it is. I mean, in the same sense of an NFT, but not just an NFT. It may be a legal document that's wrapped with a smart contract that says, the legal document blows up after 6 years or something like that. There's a whole range of things that we could do. It could be healthcare information, where there's tokenization of the healthcare information. What we're seeking to do is create a set of APIs, a kind of SDK, if you like, for people to be able to write their own, in effect, their own drivers for different file formats and file types for the data they want to keep on chain, and be able to view that through RDrive, but at the same time, build your own skin for your own DApp so that it can see that kind of content. So we want it to be pluggable across both. And that way, instead of RChain Publishing trying to create every possible file type, we're giving it, decentralizing the work so that those that have a reason to build certain file types don't have to wait for us. They can just build them and we can just consume them and integrate them. So that's where we are. If there's any questions, happy to take them.
So I want to point out here that what you've seen is kind of the mobile phone point of view. And excuse me. And that's built on top of the current proof of concept technology that we've already presented previously. The intention is to make this ubiquitous. So not just a phone, but pull up on your desktop an RDrive and just put things in there. And when Steve talks about file typing and file behavior, attaching various smart contracts to various kinds of things that you put in your RDrive. So what you've seen is, you know, the mobile app, but we imagine that most people will be working from their desktop. So we already have an implementation. It's a little shy of perfect. We already have an implementation that works on your local machine. So you don't need a phone, and you can just publish things to RDrive. That's the vision. So having your data on chain, secure and safe. The goal is self-sovereign data, your data on chain, secure and safe. That's the goal.
And one last thing, and it came from something that Greg was talking about. I've been using the word ubiquity for quite a while about this, but Greg's kind of nailed the word ubiquity in a different way, which was the success criteria for this. We know it's successful when my mother-in-law, who is the grandmother to my children who are in their 20s, when she decides to store some of her most important photographs and other digital assets on RChain. When it's relevant to her, so as Greg said, how do you make a blockchain relevant to Granny? And that's when we hit that, then we know that we've achieved that ubiquitousness. And they don't have to be crypto heads to pick. My mother-in-law is certainly not a crypto head, I can tell you that now. But she is very sensitive about her photographs, and she really doesn't want any of them lost.
Excellent. This is great. I mean, I think what we're inching towards is this recognition that there's this giant space of digital assets, and the file browser and those metaphors are metaphors that we all understand and have used for the last several decades to navigate our digital asset space. And so it's very quick and easy to create one, because there are already lots of tools and lots of existing intellectual apparatus to help us bootstrap this. But we could also imagine a wide range of other experiences that then fit into what people are thinking of when they think of the metaverse. That you could easily imagine, putting some goggles on and flying around your digital asset space, where notions of closeness or remoteness have some semantic import with respect to the digital assets that you're purviewing. So, for example, in the case of an NFT market, you could imagine that you've got a filter on that is looking for price range and other characteristics. And so when you're flying around in the NFT space, those things which are within that filter are close in your view, and those things that are on the fringes of that filter are far away. So the main point is we want to put together these basic sets of APIs and put a face on it, so that people can begin to understand how they can have this access to the data sphere that is immutable and decentralized. But eventually we can start to provide a wider range of experiences in which people interact with this digital asset space, and where they understand clearly and can put nice boundaries around what it is that is theirs versus what it is that is shared with different communities. So hopefully that's making sense.
I just want to point out that a good deal of the technology that has gone into this comes from Raphael and from the larger RGov community. So this is a collaborative effort.
Yes, indeed, indeed. A cooperative effort, in fact. All right, so Daryl, I'm sorry I didn't get the Casper stand up to you today. So when you get to that point, I'll just fill it in and then I'll send it to you later. But are you ready to do the community in review?
Yes, I am. Thanks, Greg. It was nice to hear you speak in visualizations of 3D and VR worlds. It was that was good. That was good. All right, so here's the week in review for January 13th to January 19th. On Thursday in the governance committee call, we had a conversation around the token structure between the ecosystem entities, and we took a look at the RChain Publishing LCA bylaws. On Friday in the climate coordination RCast, we discussed the EU Commission forcing tens of thousands of empty flights to take off, a little known but highly preventable oil spill in New Orleans, and the current extinction of insects. And I also presented 2 stories about NASA's climate leadership. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm at the Monday Casper stand-up call, Greg.
Yeah, thanks. So this Monday we continue to explore the how one goes about implementing OSLF in a a functional language where you've got reflective access to types. And what we looked at was another sort of the challenge. So last week we looked at how you would do spatial behavioral types, generate that from Rholang. And I showed the algorithm for how that happens. And then the same, then what we wanted to do was move over to a linear setting. So we looked at intuitionistic linear logic and what are the challenges to get a version of the algorithm that covers that case. So we talked about some of that. All right, back to you, Daryl.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Very cool. Okay, so on Tuesday in the communications working group, we discussed overcoming language barriers in our Zoom calls and social media. Anthony joined the call and we discussed all things marketing. And this morning in the active member hangout, we discussed Bill's new fish. We talked a little bit about 5G, and then I had to leave for another call. And so, yeah, that brings us to now.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments, concerns, considerations for Daryl?
I just want to say, Martin, it was super exciting to see the work that you've done and to see Zulip on RChain. And I think that message that you posted will go down in history, and maybe in 5 years it might fetch a good sum as an NFT.
Yeah, I'm already ready to publish it as an NFT.
I'll buy it.
We'll publish the whole video clip.
We will get right on
it. Awesome. Very, very good. So thanks, Daryl. Because we're so close to the top of the hour, what I will say is if you want to know more about what we talked about in the board meeting or some of our fundraising efforts or other things, please come to the closed door session on Friday. I am headed off to Salt Lake City to participate in an event where RChain was invited to. I can talk more about that on Friday. I am flying on Friday, but I believe I've got all my flights set up so that I can make all of the meetings. Yeah, so I think that's correct. So please feel free to join us during the closed door sessions, either at 11 or at 5 p.m. Pacific time. to cover some of that. With that, we have about 6 minutes left, so give folks in the community a chance to give voice to any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that. This is your time.
So given the outside RChain endeavors, the enterprise endeavors, the timing of hard fork 2 is going to become relevant, I would think. Do we have any idea on that?
Again, I wish I could give you more detailed data. I think we're narrowing in, but I can't give you a hard date just now. Ra would take me out and shoot me.
Well, no, and he probably should, but I'm wondering middle of the year, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, long before then. Yeah. My guess is before the end of this quarter.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, actually, Raphael put a thing in there about a multisig task force. Raphael, you want to speak to that? He put a message in the chat.
I saw that, yeah.
Raphael, you're muted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he says he cannot talk. Okay. All right. Anyways, Raphael says every Tuesday, 5 p.m. UTC, there is a multi-sig task force, I guess, to work on issues around implementing multi-sig in different scenarios using Rholang. That's what I'm assuming that's what it's about. So anybody that's interested, please join that.
Cool.
Since Raphael doesn't want to speak up, I will say that we've actually come quite a ways in multi-sig definition, and we would love it if great minds came and joined us.
Awesome. That sounds really good. We need to get to the point where we have where it's sort of a common place for us to tap into and the right resources to get security reviews for things like token contracts and multi-sig contracts and things like that. So I'm just putting it out there. If people know folks who are willing to do those kinds of reviews, now is the time to start to get those in place, because while I trust the beauty and robustness of the code that Raphael is producing and the DAPI community is producing, I also know that even the best of minds make mistakes, and it took 25 years, for example, to get a version of the high watermark protocol, which is what sits under TCP, to the point where it was proven correct. So that gives you, like, high watermark is a very low bar when we're talking about network protocols. So
Dan Connolly recently posted something in in the Discord channels about a group that was doing, I guess they called it maximum extractable value out of smart contracts. And there was a group, I think it was out of Columbia, researchers that came up with a framework to prove whether or not you could extract value from a given smart contract or a given smart contract composition. And I think there's value in what Dan put forward in terms of analyzing our own stuff.
That's cool. That's very cool. It's not quite the same as a security review, but they're connected for sure. All right, so we're 2 minutes to the top of the hour. Thank you all for all of your engagement. Please stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you on the other side.